What's happening, internet? I wasn't gonna make this stream, but wait till the end. You get some cool updates for some crypto stuff. We have here some updates as per the heading: breaking news regarding Andrew Tate, Tate brothers, etc. Now this one got the thumbnail too, so unknown. Thank you. I borrowed your thumbnail. Here we go. Let's just play this, eh? Now, there is some feedback because my computer's going nuts with the fan speed. Alright, just checking audio.
Leaked messages between Andrew Tate case. We have some leaked messages between the US woman and the UK woman, as well as the US woman and her mother. And these messages blow the case wide open. The US woman, Emma, arrived in Romania, and very shortly afterwards, she contacted the US embassy. So she caused a raid to happen even before any form of human trafficking could even occur. Emma says that her and Aliona made the Tates believe that they were in love with them. And so in reality, they weren't in love. So this dispels the whole lover boy method, because they faked and imitated this idea of them being in love. In reality, the brothers were in love with them, and they made them believe that to be the case, to the extent that she even says that she had autonomy to leave what she wanted because Tristan trusted her. This dispels the entire notion of human trafficking. They even praised one another about how brilliant of an actresses they were, to the extent they were able to fool the Tates as well as Dicot. I have verified the messages that have been leaked, and they are 100% legitimate. The issue with the small portion of the messages having the similar date and the date format is because of the way they were imported into Excel. But the messages are legit, and this blows the case wide open. The girls also provide a motive for the reason for their false allegations. They explain that they want to contact Netflix, Amazon, Hulu in order to write a documentary and be part of it. And finally, the women have sued the Tates for £100,000 each for civil damages. The women's story shows clear collusion and attempt to extort the Tates. And up until now, they almost seem to have succeeded, but the truth has been revealed.
Like I keep saying, time reveals all. Now, this is some images here in relation to what the individual was talking about. Again, breaking news, to best of my knowledge. All out in the open. No hidden information here, just purely what is on Twitter and what's being released to the public. Now, the reason I cover this is because, moving on to the Assange news, were Julian Assange to be extradited or subject to any other transfer to the USA, Britain would be in breach of its obligations under international human rights law by this individual here, again out in the open. But can we see similarities between how the Tate brothers are being treated and how Julian Assange is being treated? Basically, it appears there is ongoing legal cases, and how the legal cases were brought about appear extremely suspicious, because events leading up to these legal cases, maybe, I guess, in some medical terms, would be causal, because moving on to the next section we have here, assessment outcome casualty. Now, Robert W. Malone, MD, he was heavily censored, I believe, throughout the virus's growth phase, shall we call it, and the uncertainty. Now, the reason I cover this is because on this particular article, it breaks down some research that was done by some very well-known doctors. It goes on to show them, not that person, this one here below. It explains, some stuff was actually known, and although it was known, it was not reported properly. So I'll put links in the description below, basically saying that it wasn't the actual cause of death, but it was causal. So had they not have received any treatment, then chances are the children aged 7 and 9 may not have suffered a fatal cardiac arrest. Now that is absolutely disgusting that children that young would be subject to such evil. Yeah, I don't know what sort of world we are currently living in, but that is the normal. That was being withheld. It required Freedom of Information Acts, Freedom of Information requests, FOIAs here in Australia, to draw this information out. Now, moving on. Why do I cover this? Because some media claims that 30% increase in heart attacks, deaths for young people due to not taking the vaccine or wearing a mask. Now, they directly point out here in this article, what we do know is that younger people were less likely to protect themselves against COVID than older people, less likely to mask, less likely to take other mitigation measures, and they were also further back in line to get vaccinated. They claimed, so it says here, basically, that, yeah, so they're not protected with vaccination until late in the pandemic, so they might not have been affected here. Where is it? Here. Corporate media is trying to explain why away the massive spike in heart attacks among young people, claiming 30% rise in heart attack and deaths in 2020 to 44-year-olds is attributed to not taking the COVID-19 vaccine or wearing masks. Okay. In 2022, CBS highlighted a study by these individuals showing the number of heart attacks during the first 2 years of the COVID pandemic was 30% higher than predicted. Heart attack deaths have become more common across all age groups since the start of the coronavirus pandemic, said the anchor said. Then said the medical contributor and epidemiologist joined the show to reinforce talking point that the spike in heart attacks among young people was due to lower rates of vaccination and masking. Okay, when asked why young people appeared to be more at risk of heart attacks than other age groups, she responded, "We don't know for sure." Okay, now combine that with this starter point here, where they actually call it causal. They can't say directly that it did cause the death of these individuals, and it wasn't actually reported correctly, but it says it was causality. It was causal, causality. What does that even mean? So that's like saying because individuals were covering and getting more famous or covering certain topics, the causality of them, that was the causality of them being subject to legal cases. That's what it sounds like to me, but I'm not a lawyer. This is not any sort of advice. This is just purely my thoughts. And what we have next is here. So, I mean, it's pretty hard to verify this. It could be Taiwan for all we know. But it says, while American kids are getting taught gender doesn't exist by twerking drag queens, other countries are doing this. Now, can't tell what sort of firearm that is. Okay. Some of them look like disassembling. Pretty weird. But anyway. Stop. The sound. Oh my god. Sorry about that. Please don't play again. Please don't play again. Alright. Now, moving on to cryptocurrency. Shorts get wrecked as Bitcoin surges to 24K.285. Now, Kitco, pretty reliable. I don't mind them. But if you're going short, then you might have been wrecked. Again, what's the saying? Ladies, liquor, leverage. Leverage maybe being the key there. What are we seeing in the markets? The financial markets, I guess you call it, because I'm going to ignore legacy finance just for a little bit. Because what you're going to be hearing about later on is the debt ceiling. What's going to happen in the debt ceiling? Anyway, some people know what's going to happen to a certain point, to a certain degree, but it's time has to let it play out, basically. Now, what we're seeing here, everything's up, everything's green, the opposite of lava. Hex is doing pretty good. It's not too bad. I hadn't looked for a while, and it's up. What, 2.3% at the moment. Here we go. Debt ceiling news. US could face debt ceiling crisis in the summer without deal. US will default this summer unless Congress raises debt limit. Congress needs to act soon to avoid catastrophic US debt default. Okay, cool. Now, I'm not going to cover that because I've heard some analysis on that. It was pretty accurate. I thought it made a lot of sense, but people probably don't want to hear that. So we'll move on. The weather is going to be scorching today here in Adelaide, and we have in the Hexaco 7.63 payout. Now, if you're staked, you might understand what that is. That is about it. That's all I got. But yeah, like I said, check out this if you are interested in the Tate brothers. Have a look at what was posted out here and there. It might shed some light what is actually going on. Maybe look into Julian Assange. How did he get into his position? Will he ever be free? Will the Tate brothers ever be free? What actually happened with the jabs? What actually happened here in Australia? I'm still waiting for an answer. What else? Around the world, some education systems appear to be performing a lot better than others, if you ask me. Crypto is going up for a little bit, and Hex, well, if you're Hexkin, you're in a good space. Alright, signing out.